Hi everybody, here's Wednesday's maths lesson. On screen you can see today's starter task. I'm going to read it out. Once I finish reading, I'd like you to pause the video and have a go. If 6 girls can plant 90 trees in a day, how many trees can 10 girls plant in a day? And you need to assume that each girl has the same amount of planting power. Okay? Pause the video, see how you get on. Okay, now on the next page, I have shown you, hang on, let me just see. Right, so here's my workings. This isn't the only way to solve this problem. You may have recorded your workings differently. But just for today, I thought I'd show you this method. Now, do you know what this is called? 6:90. What mathematical area am I talking about? I'm talking about ratio. So this means that every time you have 6 girls, 90 trees are planted. Okay, so to get to 10, I thought I will work out how many trees 2 girls can plant, and then I can scale up to 10 because I know that I can multiply 2 by 5 to get to 10. So if you look at it, ratio is quite like fractions. Whatever you do to one side, you do the same to the other side. So I did 6 divided by 3, which is 2, and 90 divided by 3, which is 30. So I know that 2 girls can plant 30 trees in a day. Then I multiply both sides by 5, and I know that 10 girls can plant 150 trees in a day. I wonder if your workings are the same as mine, or I wonder if your workings are different to mine. Please share them with me on Teams afterwards. Now, yesterday I mentioned that we were going to be starting percentages today. We are. First question, what does percent mean? Pause the video and write down your idea, or think about your idea, or chat to somebody else if they're free. Okay, percent means parts per 100. Okay, 100 is the key number for percent. You'll understand that a little bit better afterwards. So, people use percentages all the time. I'm sure you've heard them a lot, and you've probably not even noticed. So sometimes teachers will say, oh, well done, 100% of the class have completed homework this week. Okay, 100% means the whole class have completed their homework. Okay, 100% is the full amount. If a teacher said that 90% of the class had completed their homework, then 90% means that most of the class have done it, because that's not far off the full amount, is it? It's only 10% less. If 50% had completed their homework, then I'm sure you've heard that one before. It's commonly used in shops, isn't it? 50% off. It means half price. So 50% of the class would mean half of the class have done their homework. If it's a 10%, that means a small proportion have done it, because 10% is quite a way off the full amount. It's 1/10 of the full amount. So on screen you can see that percentages are used in shops. Percentages are used when people fundraise and they say, oh, we've raised 90% of our target, we've only got 10% left. Where else have you seen percentages? Pause the video and either just think or make a list. Where else have you seen them, or have you used them before? Okay, sometimes you'll see pie charts with percentages on. Often we have pie charts like transport, so this one shows how year 6 get to school. If you add up the percentages, you'll notice that they add up to 100, because 100% is the whole, the full amount. You might see percentages on food packaging, so fruit juice less than 5% sugar. So that's a very small proportion of the whole which contains sugar. So that kind of persuades people to buy it. Now, we're going to have a look at a few examples. The only fact you need for these examples, you need to remember that the whole amount is equal to 100%. So Neva is watching a film on a tablet. Estimate the percentage of the film that she's watched so far. And can you tell how long it will take to watch the rest of the film? So look here, so you need to imagine that at the very end of this bar is 0%, because that would mean that nothing's been watched. And at the end of the bar, that would be 100%. That would be the full amount complete. The film's finished. Now, you may want to sort of do some jotting, so I guess you'll have to sort of point to this with your finger on screen. What percent would you place here? So what percentage of the film has she watched so far? Right, I'm now going to reveal my workings. So I did some little jotting. So I put the blue on here. What percent do you think that represents? I was going for 50%. So if she gets this blue line and she's watched about half the film, then what fraction do you think these pink lines are? I've separated the whole into 4 equal parts. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Now I know that 1/4 of 100 is 25, so I think this pink line would be 25%. So I think a good estimate would be between 15 and 20%. Do you agree with me? Let me know on Teams afterwards. Were you close? Okay, so I'd like you to write your idea down, your estimate down for this one if you didn't write your idea down for the first example. So this icon shows how much power Evie has left in her phone battery. I'm sure you've all seen one of these symbols before, maybe on your laptop or if you've got a mobile phone or a tablet. Okay, approximately what percentage of the power remains? So all of this blue is remaining power. What percentage of power do you think she's got left? Pause the video and write down your estimate. You may want to do some sort of markings with your finger on the screen to try and help you. Okay, I'm going to reveal my answer. So again, the pink line represents halfway, roughly. And the green lines, what do they represent? 4 equal parts? Quarters. So I actually think that Evie's got about 75% of the power remaining, sort of like 3/4. Looks like, this whole power battery is 100%. I reckon something near to 75. Do you agree with me? Let me know afterwards. Right, this diagram shows the percentage of a race that Finn has run so far. So, if you need to imagine that this is 0, so when he was at this black line, he hadn't started, so he'd done nothing. And the finish line here, that would be 100% complete, because the full total is always 100. So what percentage of the race has he already run? Write down your estimate. Okay, so I think he's got to about halfway, so I've written down 50%. So hopefully your estimate is somewhere or something close to 50. This one's slightly tricky. So this plan shows a city that has been damaged by an earthquake. The red sections show the damaged areas. Estimate the percentage of the city that has been damaged. So this is going to be roughly again. So look here, what percent do you think this red part represents out of this whole? So this whole is 100%. What percentage do you think's red? Write down your estimate. Okay, so I think, well, if you kind of use this line, that's roughly 50%. So it's less than 50%. I think somewhere between 35 and 45%. Let me know if you agree with me. Now, this is the final task for today. Well, the final task is based on this picture. First of all, on your sheet of paper, I'd like you to estimate the percentage that each child has completed their journey so far to school. So that's the first point. So, for example, if we look at Amisha together, so this is Amisha's whole journey. Remember, the whole journey would be 100%. Now, looking at this journey, I can see that Amisha, I think she's gone just over half of her journey. So I think it's probably in the 50%. Probably that's just my opinion. Can you pause the video and write down what percentage each child has completed so far? So look at the red lines. Work out what percentage they've done. Have a go. Okay, so I'll continue to share my opinion so you can mark your work. Remember, you may have slightly different answers. As long as your answer's quite close to mine, then you can give it a tick. So Ben. So I think he's a little bit under halfway. So I think somewhere between, I think like 45%. Have you got anything close to that number? Maybe give or take 5? Coco. That looks a little bit over halfway. I'm gonna go for about 60%. But again, remember, I'd like you to show me your answers. Demi. Definitely over halfway. Think about in the 70s. Something in the 70s. Let me know what you thought. Now the other part is to estimate the percentage that each child has left of their journey. So what percent does Amisha have left to go? Now you can look at your first answers to help you with this. Because what you should realise is that your blue answers and your red answers, when you put them together, they should equal 100. Because the whole journey is equal to 100%. So if you've put that Amisha has completed 53% of her journey so far, then really you should be putting that she's got 47% left, because 47 and 53 make 100. Pause the video, complete this task and share it with me afterwards on Teams. Okay, here are the final 6 questions. Number 1, which 2 children have walked about the same distance so far? So I'm not talking about percentages this time, I'm just talking about the actual distance, because if you notice that each of these distances are different lengths. I think what I will do is I will reveal the answer now. So if you haven't finished writing it down, press pause. Okay, the answer is Amisha and Demi. So although Demi has completed a larger percentage, they've both walked roughly the same. So if you look at these lines, although they're a bit wiggly, they're about the same distance. Which 2 children have walked about the same percentage of their journey? So this time we're not looking at the actual red lines, we're looking at the whole. So which 2 children have walked the same percentage? Pause the video and write down your answer. Okay, I'm going to reveal the answer. Mark your own work. So both Amisha and Coco have completed about 50%. So Amisha's about halfway, Coco's about halfway. So they've both done about 50%. Who has walked the furthest? So you're just looking at the actual amount walked, not the percentage. Pause the video and write down your answer. Okay, I'm going to reveal. Amisha and Demi, because they've kind of walked the same amount and they've both walked further than Coco and Ben, so it's actually 2 people. Who has completed the largest percentage of their walk? Demi. So if you look at it, she's kind of like 75% of the way there, whereas the others aren't quite, they haven't got to that point yet. Who is less than 50% of the way through their walk? Ben. Okay, he's not got halfway yet. He's close, but the others have passed 50% or they're on 50%. Who has walked the shortest distance? So we're not talking about percentages. Coco. Okay, Coco's journey is the shortest, but if we compare the red lines, that is shorter than any of the others. So it's important to remember the difference between percentage and sort of the actual amount, for making sense. Tomorrow we'll look more detail in percentages and we'll start to look at some equivalents. Well done for joining in, and share your work with me afterwards.